today I want to talk about image enhancement in frequency domain. It's the continuous part of the last week. But before starting to talk about image enhancement, let's me to talk about the project. As you remember, the deadline of choosing the project was 13th of the March. Just 4 groups sent their project, and I have to assign the project, the rest of the project to the rest of the people. But Miroslav, and Martin shows 3D picture construct. Construction out of 2D features. Miroslav and Martin sent this topic to me, Abdulaziz. Aziz and Fatima. Send this topic, stereo. Now, okay. Christopus and Andreas chose super resolution, denoising, and okay, and the last group that's sent their project already, and once that chose their own project, that is Odin or texture. X.
Yeah, actually, I sent you also an email.
What?
And I sent also an email about the about the knowledge. Maybe you didn't got it.
Just a second. What's his name?
Hendrik.
Henry. Henrik took this. Yes, very good. And Henry and you. vehicle detection. Is it from the other project or?
Yes, it's from those. It's like the vehicle detection by.
Automatic work, make, model, color. Okay. Is there anyone that sent project to me and I didn't mention it yet? No? Okay. We have to write this name. Okay, this is the project. This paper. Okay. Okay. Okay, it's remain. Hendrik. Yes. Okay. Sandra. Waldemar. Okay. Gustav. Just Jürgen, Martin, Ulla, Stefans, yes, Suman, Igor, okay, Egils, Vadim, Ozan, Filip, this is Fatima. Okay. You have to assign project to them. Suman, I don't know about.
I talked with Shahab, so I have already with him a project.
It means that you have the project. Okay. Let's do this. And I think that Egils also have a project, but I have to ask him.
Me also.
And you also. Okay. But why you didn't send me the email?
I think last day Shahab told that me, Ozan, Egils and Aigul are doing separate. So you can remove us from this.
He said to me or
It's
He
to
said
us
to us in class.
in the class.
okay, but you and Ozan.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me. Okay. It remains just 5 people. Okay.
But maybe choose the partners for like
Just if you want, you can choose one.
yeah, like I wanted to do it with Akil.
Okay. Vadim. Okay. I will write the project, and also you can select one of them, or I will assign you. Segmentation. Okay. Just need to have two projects. Another one is digital. Makeup. Face. Okay. And the last one, I know that Shahab doesn't suggest it, but I will suggest it. Latex. Generation. You have to know something about the object detection, latter detection. It means that in the case of pattern recognition course, if you pass that course, it will be easy for you, but we have this project. Which one do you prefer?
What does it mean, digital makeup? Is
You know, if you search on the app stores, it doesn't matter, Apple App Store or something, you will find some application that you easily take a photo of you, and you can assign some makeup on your face, such as a lipstick or something like this. It's about that. Of course, that if you apply this algorithm online to the face, you don't need to take a photo. It means that if you take a photo of, take your phone in front of you, you can easily apply something on this. And it is, of course, that is just segmentation. But as all of you know, most of the segmentation algorithm is used in the medical image processing. It's the reason that's why you use automatic MRI bone segmentation. Or also you can use latex generation from printed equations.
I would prefer makeup.
Makeup. Okay. Body.
But I don't know what a kilo would like. Maybe it doesn't want to make.
Well, we have to assign one of these to
Okay.
one of these topics to you. What? And okay, for these three people, we will assign this one. But maybe if you want, you can choose one of these. It means we have we have to have two groups. One group 3 people, one group 2 people. If you want, you can choose one of these. If you don't want, we have to assign this project to this person.
Okay, let's do it. Right.
Okay.
For now, like this.
Henrik,
At least it should be fine.
Sandra,
Makeup.
and Gustav. Okay. Now all people have a project, and maybe later they can see that what is their project. But please, I upload it on the module, and please upload your proposal about these methods on the module. I think the deadline is 1 month later or something like this. Proposal means that you have to write 2 or 3 paragraphs about the topic, which methods you will use, which language you will use for implement these methods, and talk about a little about the methods that used for these topics, and something like this. You just need a page, A4 page about this, and upload in the module.
And when is the deadline for the project?
For the project is end of semester, but for the proposal of the project is, I think, 1 month later or 20 days later. Okay, let's talk about the topic. Okay, today we will continue or talk about the image enhancement in frequency domain. As you remember, we introduced some filter in frequency domain, and you saw that how we can use them and where we can use them. As most of you, I think, passed the signal processing in your bachelor, yes? Who then passed signal processing? Okay, as you know, and I also mentioned the last week that sync function in the time domain is sync function in time domains is equal to the periodic in the frequency domain. As you know, if for example in the sync function or in the periodic, if you see this part of the your function, it doesn't matter which part of this, one part. If you shifted it, for example, if you consider this as a sync function, if you see this part, okay, we have this function, and also if you see this part, you have the same function, but not this, this one. It means that for the periodic, but it's in the discrete form, as you know we are talking about, because image is in the discrete form, it's not in the continuous form. But for the discrete form, we can say that the Fourier transform of our image, that's this in the time domain, when we transform it to the frequency domain, we have this, we call it Fourier transform of the image, is equal to fu plus m v, or fu, it means that a little lower, fuv plus n, or is equal to Fourier transform of the u plus m, v plus n. That also we have the same in the time domain. I know that all of you know about this because it's in the digital signal processing, but we have to talk about this because later we will use this function. And also you know that for the conjugate, all of you know that when we use when we apply conjugate on a function, we keep the real part and just we change the imaginary part. As also all of you know that in the image processing we just have the real part. We don't have any imaginary part because we can easily see it. It means that when we, in the frequency domain, when we have the transform of the image, it's equal with the conjugate of the image, because we keep the real part and we don't have any imaginary part. As well, you can see here an example. If you consider this as a function, as you know that when we transform the image, the frequency, the low frequency component will come to the border, especially here, 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 and here. And most of the high frequency are in the center that we have. You can see we have, for example, in this part. If you go to the border, you can see that the high frequency component will, the number of high frequency components that we have, for example, here is less than the high frequency component we have in the center. And also, as we talk about this, we know that, for example, if we use the periodic in the frequency domain, it's something like this. For example, you consider this image that we put it just here, and another one just here, because we have a periodic. It means that we have this period, we have this period, and so on. It means that we put this part of the image, or this patch, or this image here, 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 and here. And you can see that in this image, U was here, V was here. This is the low frequency component that we have in the border. And when we have a periodic, it means that all the frequency domain are in this part. As you can see, we have the V here and U here. And the center is include of the low frequency component that it used for the low pass filter. For example, you keep this one as an origin, and you can easily make some circle around this to use a low pass filter, because in the low pass filter it just pass the low frequency component and kill the high frequency component. And also, as you remember, we in the frequency domain and in the time domain, we talk about the convolution. And also, you remember that I said that the convolution in the time domain, it's equal to the, when we transfer the convolution to the frequency domain, we just need simple multiplication. It means you don't need to rotate the kernel and multiply the kernel on the image. But here, if we consider Bondi convolution of fx, it means that we are not in the 2D, or it's not an image. It's a simple signal that is in the Bondi. As you remember that it was the convolution equation. If you want to find the convolution of an image on the kernel, you can use this equation. And this is an example. For example, you consider this one as a signal or a function that we have it as a original, and consider this as a kernel that we want to apply by on the original signal, or the original period box period with convolution. And also you can see the periodic part of this signal. You can see, for example, we have this box here, that is this. If we consider this as a periodic, you can easily see that we have some boxes after that or before that. And also for the kernel, if you consider the kernel as a periodic function, you can see similar to this one. You can see we have some signal or some boxes after or before this box filter, box kernel. And here you can see that if we consider as it's not the previous one, if we consider this as a original signal, or because it's in Bondi, we can't call it image. The Bondi and also the kernel in Bondi. After convolution, we have a shape like this, and you can see that the maximum value of the image is 3 and the maximum value of the kernel is 2. Then it means that we cut this part of the value of the 3. If we consider this as a periodic, as you can see here, the result of convolution is like this. As you can see, because the periods are close together, we have some error that appear here, like this. When we have the these periods together, we call it wraparound error that is appear in this part. And if I want to see you, I put the correct convolution after applying this kernel on that signal, and in the periodic we have some error here that we call it wraparound error. How we can fix this, or we can solve this problem or fix this problem? One of the solutions that we can use is use zero padding. What we are doing in zero padding, we will put lots of zero between each period. If you remember, for example, when we add, we have a space here that we want to increase this space. What we can do, we have to add, to solve this problem, we have to add lots of zero in that period. And this is a function that you can see if we consider that as if we consider the f and the h. F is the original signal, h is the kernel. If we consider of a and b points, we can use this equation for the original signal and for the kernel signal. That later we will use them in the 2D, and you can see that how we can use it. We use them in the 2D. And also, if we say that when x is between the 0 and a minus 1, we call fx, that is the original signal. And when x is between the a and p, that is the electoral period, we put 0. You can easily see here that you can see we put lots of 0, for example, in the fx function that we have this. It means that we increase the space between two periods. And also for the kernel, we have to do it, because when we want to apply convolution, we have to find the same size of the kernel and function that we want to use. And you can see after convolution, you can see this minus n, x minus n. After convolution, you can see we don't have that error that was around here. And we can easily convolve the image, means that we cut the highest part of the signal. And as I mentioned, we add some 0 that we call it zero padding, and also for the original function of fx. And also you can see that we remove that error. When we want to use this technique in the 2D function, or in the, it means that in the image we want to use it, we can easily consider the fxy, that's the original image, and hxy, that's the kernel that we want to convolve with the image. We consider it as the size of A and B and C and D. We can easily see that similar to the previous one that we used for the 1D function, we can use this equation for the original image and this for the kernel that we want to use to convolve with the image. And here is an example of this. You consider it as a original image, is the cameraman image. It's the well-known image that used in lots of techniques for testing the techniques, and you consider that we want to convolve just this part, convolution function, this part, with the image. After convolution, this kernel on this one, you can see we have some wraparound error here, or something like this. But if we use zero padding, it means that we put lots of zero here. If you consider, for example, this as a size of 256 by 256, it means that we have 512 and 512 because we put zero, the same size of this here, that is this part, also this part, zero, and also this part. And we have to also put the zero in the kernel, as you saw in the equation, that we have to apply zero padding on the image and also in the kernel. And after convolution, you can see that there is some black point here, and just we can cut it, crop it, and put it here, and you can see we don't have any wraparound error here, because instead of the wraparound error here, we just have a zero line here in top of the image, in the right side and left side. It means that in the border we have some zero, and we don't have any error of this. Or you can, if you crop it from here, it means that you missed some part of the image, but you don't have any wraparound error. And also, if you can consider this as a padding input image, it means that similar to the previous slide, we used, for example, image size of 256 by 256. We will put 0 here, exactly the same size of the image, here and here. It means that we call it a padded input image. And also, we want to use kernel. We want to use this kernel for the convolution on the image. And also you can you easily see that similar to the original image, we used some zero padding here for our kernel. Who knows that which kernel is this kernel, or what is the name of this kernel? Because remember last week and 2 weeks ago I talked about this. No, last week just. I talked about it and show an example. Do you know which kernel is this? Or which type of filter is this? It's same, but in the frequency domain we called it ideal filter. You remember we had ideal filter in the frequency domain, like this. Okay, it's the frequency domain. When we transfer it to the time domain, we have a sine function. Yeah. we have a sing function. As you remember that I talked about this, but you know that in the real we don't have an ideal filter, because you know that for this part we have to find sinus x over x. If you consider this part x as 0, it means that sinus sinus of the 0 over 0 is equal to infinity. Okay, but in the mathematics we put the 1 instead of infinity, and it's the reason that we have this thing. And if we transfer this function to the frequency function, we have ideal filter. It means that in the real we don't have any ideal filter. And also you remember that we showed some filter that we can use, such as Gaussian filter and something like this, to simulate the ideal filter. Okay, continue about Orthopic. We combine this kernel with the image, and after convolution you can see that similar to the cameraman image, we have an image like this that we need to crop this one, and also you easily see that we don't have any wraparound error here. It's the solution that we can use to solve the wraparound error. Also, as you remember, for the 2D convolution, we had an equation like this, and we used it several times in the examples to to find the result of the convolution of the kernel 2 weeks ago, or something like this. And as you remember,